I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Here we go. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. It is Tuesday, December 30th. Welcome into one and all on this day before New Year's Eve. All right, coming up on the show today, you ready? We'll talk Seahawks and 49ers. We got John Canzano stopping by because it's a Tuesday. We'll talk Kyle Whittingham to Michigan. We'll talk the college football playoffs and what the hell is happening in college basketball. We'll get the very latest there with Canzano coming up in a few minutes to start the Daily Puck Drop. Danny Kelly is here on a Tuesday from The Ringer. We talk all things NFL and Seahawks. And because we will not be on the air Thursday, because it's New Year's Day and we're watching football, everybody should be watching football. It will be an edition of KJ-Arent with Mitch Unfiltered coming up today, a little bit later in the program. As always, with KJ-Arent, you can watch or listen to it live during the Daily Puck Drop, the entire thing during the live show. But once the live show is over, the only place to watch or listen to it is if you are a Pucks Posse member or a patron at Mitch Unfiltered. All right, we are in the Limbach Lumber Studios, as we always are. Contractors, they're going to offer free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects. They've got the largest stock moldings in the Northwest, old school service because they've been doing it since 1930. Give them a call at Limbach Lumber, 206-782-3487, or visit them online at limbachlumber.com. You can follow me on all the social media platforms, Puck Sports everywhere except for TikTok, which is Puck_sports. And of course, you can visit us at pucksports.com. There, you support everything that we do here on the Daily Puck Drop, all the shows that we do daily, the free shows, plus we give you bonus shows every week throughout the week. Mitch will coming on today, KJ-Arent, plus we've got another edition, not this week, but coming out next week, of Ryan Divish. Ryan Divish coming up there with Inside Pitch. All right, that's what we got coming up on the show today. We'll talk to Canzano coming up here momentarily. And we'll talk about the college football playoffs, Oregon's chances against Texas Tech, Kyle Whittingham, and all of that. Lincoln Riley blaming Notre Dame. But this week should be dominated and will be dominated, obviously, with the Seahawks and 49ers. You saw the Rams last night losing to the Falcons. I owe Jim Moore another $50. F you, Jim, if you're listening or watching. That's 0 for 2. Like, that's not been good for old Puck the Picker in the last two bets there with Jimmy Moore. But again, all the attention this week is on the Seahawks and Niners and whether or not that they are ready for this moment. And no doubt that they will be ready for the moment coming up there on Saturday. You look at the two teams, you look at them on paper, on film, you got to say to yourself, the Seahawks should have the advantage. I think in the last check, they were favored in the game. Not sure if they are anymore. It had opened up Rams at 1.5, then it swung to the Seahawks at 1.5, and it remains there at 1.5. But you look at the strength of their team, obviously, offensively, they are a terrible defense. And part of it is because of the injuries they've sustained and all of that. But they are not good defensively. Seattle should be able to, even though they haven't been consistently moving the ball for the full game in the last 3 to 4 games, they should get opportunities there against the 49ers because they're just not that strong defensively. The question will just be, can the Seahawks stop them on defense when they're on offense? Can they stop San Francisco's offense? That will be obviously the key storyline coming up in the game there on Saturday. And again, they were exposed, I guess, to a degree a couple of weeks ago against the Rams. They no doubt responded beautifully this past week against Carolina. It's not the same offense that, they're going to see on Saturday, what they saw this past week against Carolina. But for those concerned about, 2 weeks ago, they got bludgeoned by the Rams. Well, it is the same defense that earlier in the season against that same Rams offense that held them in check. I got a good feeling about how they're going to perform and how they're going to do against them. And I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring affair that we saw the Rams have there and the Seahawks from a few weeks ago. I think he'll be more reminiscent of maybe the first meeting between the Rams and the Seahawks, but I don't know. But we'll find out. I mean, that's kind of the old issue of which way the game will go. Brock Purdy's playing at a just high level right now for sure. He's been unbelievable. They have, for the Seahawks part, every time they've had this opportunity to take on one of these offenses, they've done a damn good job, except minus the Rams game from a few weeks ago. But again, happens. That's just part of it. The Rams have a good offense. The Niners have a good offense. The Niners are going to make plays on Saturday against Seattle. I don't think Seattle's defense is going to sit there and hold them off the entire time. But, yeah, we shall see. All right, before we get to John Canzano joins us every single week to talk college football. We'll get back to the NFL. We'll get back to the Seahawks with Danny Kelly from The Ringer. But Canzano's weekly appearance brought to you by the one and only Flat Stick Pub. If it's fun you desire, it's fun you're going to get at Flat Stick Pub. It doesn't matter what the occasion is, whether it's date night, guys night, ladies night, or large group event, Flat Stick Pub's got you covered. They have 6 great locations across the Pacific Northwest, from Pioneer Square to Kirkland, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. All locations offer the best pub experience in Washington. 2 rules at Flat Stick Pub: drink local and have fun. Pretty simple. So if you like to have fun, love local beer, and great tasting food, make Flat Stick Pub your next spot. Visit them at flatstickpub.com. And here he is. It's John Canzano. He's with us, johncanzano.com. His weekly appearance brought to you by Flat Stick Pub. Cougar owned and operated, 6 great locations across the state of Washington: Kirkland, Pioneer Square, South Lake Union, Spokane, Bellingham, and Redmond. They got you covered for everything: date night, guys night, ladies night, large group events. Hello, John Canzano. How are you?
Happy New Year. Am I the first person to say that to you, or have you been getting that all day?
No, I did. I got it from some stranger yesterday.
Okay. All right.
He gave me a Happy New Year, because I think I went Merry Christmas and I forgot it was past Christmas. They said, it's Happy New Year. So yes, Happy New Year to you. I can't wait to get to your resolutions soon.
Oh yeah. Let's do it.
All right, before we jump into the games, I want to cover the games that are coming up. Of course, we'll get one game that is going to be tomorrow, and then we've got the full slate of games coming up there on the 31st. So we'll pause on that one. But first, I want to go to since the last time we talked, the huge story there with Kyle Whittingham. How shocked are you that Whittingham ended up at Michigan?
I mean, I guess in this era, nothing should surprise you, right? Except that Whittingham seemed to be the only guy that would be immune from, the modern era of college football. And, he had been at Utah for 3 decades, and that's where his dad was. And he had talked about, finishing his coaching career and then skiing in Park City and riding his Harley, which is a Utah-colored Harley Davidson, around Salt Lake City. There was a provision in his contract that gave him $3.4 million if he stuck around to be a fundraiser. All he would have to do is work 10 hours a week, Puck, 10 hours for $3.4 million a year. Also, his grandchildren and great-grandchildren were guaranteed free tuition at Utah. This was a legacy thing. And then all of a sudden, Michigan trips all over itself. Sharon Moore ends up in the pokey, and you end up firing him. And here comes Kyle Whittingham riding into, Ann Arbor on his Harley now, starting over. I mean, I think there's a lot of things to unpack here. I think one is that Utah screwed some of this up. They messed it up. No way administratively you let Kyle Whittingham leave you if he's still interested in coaching. They were obviously worried about getting Morgan Scalley that head coaching job. They were probably afraid to lose him and lose their contingency plan. And then secondarily, it just tells me Kyle Whittingham doesn't want to be a fundraiser at 10 hours a week. He wants to go coach football. And so I think Michigan failed forward. If you're a Michigan fan, you have to be ecstatic with this. You somehow came away with a better coach than the guy that you just fired, and you end up in a better situation. And for Whittingham, what a wonderful chance to see if a guy with culture who did it at Utah can now do it with resources in the Big Ten. This is going to be fun to watch.
It's remarkable. It really is. The problems that football program Michigan has been in for the last decade, for them, as you use that great term, fall forward, it's just remarkable. They couldn't have got a better coach. A guy that symbolizes everything, represents everything that's right about college football, the way that he conducts himself, the way that he coaches, the toughness, the mentality. It's such a perfect fit, him in Michigan. It makes too much sense for him to go to Michigan. The thing, and Jim and I discussed this yesterday, the thing with Utah that I don't understand from their perspective. I mean, there were signs he wanted to step down and was going to step down last year, right? But then the season doesn't go great. So he says, I'm not going to go out on that that season. I'm going to come back one more year. Then they have a very good season, obviously. And so then Utah, Morgan Scalley's probably being contacted by other schools to be a head coach, whatever those schools are. And so he's chomping at the bit to get a job. He wants to be the head coach at Utah. But if Kyle Whittingham wants to stay, what I don't understand about Utah and their decision. Why not just say, Morgan, I know you're the coach in waiting. We get it. But this guy wants to continue to coach. We're going to let him to continue to coach. If you want to leave and go elsewhere for a job, then go elsewhere for a job. Because here's what's going to happen. Whittingham stays on for, 2-3 more years to coach. Scalley goes coaches some other school, probably a lower school than Utah, right? He wins there, signals that he's a good coach. When Whittingham leaves, they're going to go hire Morgan Scalley.
Yeah.
He's going to get the job eventually. That's what I don't understand about it.
And also, there was something in Scalley's contract that guaranteed him that job. And I think Mark Harlan, the athletic director at Utah, he's a smart guy, but I think this one got botched because it's a different program when Kyle Whittingham's a coach. You think about the kind of CEO that he is. Well, the new era of coaches are going to have general managers. You're not going to have this unilateral autonomy that Kyle Whittingham has had all along at Utah. So it's a different program now at Utah. And here's the other thing. Who's going with Kyle Whittingham to Ann Arbor? He's going to take assistant coaches. He said he won't poach the roster, but if those kids jump in the portal, he's not going to ignore them. So, I think BYU's coaching staff, too, is going to get hit by this because he has such great connections there. Gary Anderson, the former Oregon State coach who flamed out in Corvallis, he's on Kalani Sitake's staff at BYU. Gary Anderson is one of the first people I thought about because I think Kyle Whittingham would hire him as his D-line coach or one of the defensive assistants. And so I think you're going to get a lot of domino effect here. That's going to be more than just Kyle Whittingham leaving Utah. I think Utah lost some culture here. I think they're going to lose some support staff. And I'm also looking at the Big Ten. Utah dominated USC. They were 5-2 against USC in their last 7 meetings, beat them 3 in a row before USC left for the Big Ten. I have to think that Lincoln Riley's going, oh, crap. Michigan just got better, and they got better with the guy who was kicking my butt. Oregon was 3-3 against Utah in the last 6. They played Utah, had far fewer resources than Oregon did, played them toe-to-toe. So Whittingham now at Michigan has to change sort of the hierarchy there. A lot of people had believed that Michigan maybe was at the bottom of that top tier. If I'm Ohio State, Oregon, USC, Penn State, I'm going, crap, this is not good.
You think he coaches all 5 years there?
I think, look, he's 66 years old. We're looking at, a guy like Kirk Ferentz at Iowa who's 70. I think if the system is set up correctly, he's going to have resources, and in some ways the job's going to be easier for him in Ann Arbor. I think if he has success, he could do 4 or 5. I think he could get there. But, that's probably about it. He looks like he just wants to go, hey, you know what? I've never been able to, drive a Ferrari. Let me go drive a Ferrari for a couple of years. And so I think it could just be that for him. But man, talk about this, Puck. 10 hours of work a week, $3.4 million, or go coach. He said, I'll go coach. I mean, it tells you he's a ball coach.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the college football playoffs. They will start tomorrow. Only just the one game tomorrow, the Cotton Bowl. Ohio State against Miami. The Buckeyes are heavy favorites in this game, 9.5. How do you see this one going? Do you think this goes the way that Vegas thinks it's going to be, and it's going to be a blowout? Or does Miami and Mario Cristobal have a shot against the Buckeyes?
You know what I would look at if I were a bettor, and I'm not, but I would look at the first quarter spreads of these quarterfinal games. Last year in the quarterfinal round, all 4 teams that had the bye started sluggish. Oregon got boat raced. Everybody was sluggish and playing from behind in that first quarter. What will the layoff do to Ohio State? What will the layoff do to Texas Tech, who hasn't played since December 6th? What will the layoff do to these teams versus maybe Miami that's in rhythm. It's almost a normal game week for Miami and Oregon and the teams that played in the opening round. I don't think Miami has the horses to compete here, but I like Ohio State winning it. But keep an eye on that first quarter, because I wouldn't be surprised to see it maybe not go Ohio State's way early, as the Buckeyes look like a team that's coming out of playing a week 0 game, and Miami's in normal game rhythm. I think Miami kind of hit their ceiling in beating Texas A&M. It was a great matchup for them. I like Ohio State in that one.
Okay, let's go. Then when we get to January 1st, we'll start it off there in the Orange Bowl. The Oregon Ducks taking on Texas Tech. Oregon favored by 2.5. And this is just I was just reading a long article, I think it was on ESPN.com, about the booster, the donor at Texas Tech, the Campbell guy, who was worth I don't know, $13-14 billion or something. He's the one who ended up buying this whole Texas Tech roster. It's new school versus old school, but Oregon has that kind of new school vibe to it, right? I mean, it's the same thing that Texas Tech did. Phil Knight gets involved, not in a time in age of where it was NIL money, but he got involved and gave money, resources to the university and all that. And now Texas Tech is doing basically the same Oregon model, just differently now in the NIL world.
Yeah, and look, I saw Phil Knight when Oregon played Indiana in the middle of the season. He's 88 years old. He's getting up there. And I think Oregon would love to give him a return on the $1 billion investment that he's made in his alma mater. $1 billion have gone into, just the campus in general, facilities, football. He and his wife have given $1 billion plus. So I think Oregon would love to get him a return on the investment. So I do find that parallel interesting with the guy at Texas Tech who's new to this game. And you're watching Phil Knight on the other end. When I saw him at the Indiana game, he got an escort, he got a golf cart that took him up to the elevator. He got out with his friend, Ken O'Neill, his best friend. He was using a cane. He's 88 years old. And I think Oregon would love to give him, a thrill this season. And, he's watching this unfold. So, it is a little bit new and old, but Oregon, nobody was better positioned for this era than the Oregon Ducks. NIL, portal. Oregon's had its toes on the line for years with, the rules and what you could get away with. Now the Ducks, I think, are just so uniquely it was like they had rocket fuel behind them. When everybody else was going, oh, we have to adjust to this. Oregon was like, we know how to do this. They had already essentially privatized that athletic department. They were not operating like a public school. They were funded by Phil Knight, and they had a donor, Pat Kilkenny, who was the AD for a spell. He worked as the AD for $1 a year because they just wanted to get a building built. They built Matthew Knight Arena, and then he got out. So Oregon, in this era, Oregon's just so uniquely positioned. This matchup's interesting, though, in this quarterfinal round. Oregon's in rhythm. They talked about it all week. They're on a normal game week. Texas Tech hasn't played since December 6th. I don't love Texas Tech's offense. I think Oregon's defense can hold them in the low 20s. And I think this is a game Oregon can win. And I think given the layoff, I kind of expect the Ducks to have a great first quarter, great start. Will they have the swoon in the fourth quarter that they had against James Madison? We'll see. But I like Oregon. I don't love the kickoff time and the body clock for Oregon. Real early West Coast time kickoff, but I'll take the Ducks in like a 23-21, 24-21 game.
Okay, if they do advance, they will face the winner in the Rose Bowl. It's number 1 Indiana, number 9 Alabama. It will not, John, kick off at its traditional 2 p.m. start time. That means we get robbed of the sunset like late in the third quarter, which is just but it's just you know what? It's poetic for everything that's wrong with college football right now, that we don't care about anything anymore and traditions and all that. It will kick off at 1 o'clock, Indiana and Alabama. Does Indiana advance to the semifinals to face Oregon in a rematch, you think?
Yes, Indiana finds a way. I think Curt Cignetti's too good of a coach to lose this game. Alabama's got flaws. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if Alabama led this game in the first quarter, just because of Alabama being they played in the SEC championship game. They played in the opening round. Now they're playing in this game. Alabama, this is not new, and Indiana has been off since the Big Ten title game, and they won that game, in a really hard-fought game against Ohio State. So, look, I love Indiana in this game. I think Oregon-Indiana is the rematch on that side of the bracket, and I think that would be a fantastic semifinal. But Alabama kind of hit its ceiling for me in the last round. I think Indiana in the second half takes over this game.
You think, I don't know if we discussed this last week. Do you think if had Alabama lost bad, right? And they get shut out. Remember, Oklahoma's up on them big. Yeah. And it looks like they're going to blow them out. Had they blown them out, do you think they move on from DeBoer?
Ooh, that I wonder if DeBoer is the coach at Michigan. You know, like does he get out? Greg Byrne, the athletic director at Alabama, he's a West Coast guy. His dad, Bill, worked at Oregon as the athletic director. Greg was at Arizona prior to going to Alabama. I talked to him prior to him hiring Kalen DeBoer. He was locked into Kalen DeBoer for a while. He was watching what he did at Washington. So I have a hard time thinking that Byrne would come in and go, hey, I made a mistake just because you lost in the playoff. It's kind of like, look back to last season. Ohio State could have done that with Ryan Day, right? Bad loss, to your rival late in the season, 2-loss season. You barely back into the playoff. They could have given up on Ryan Day if it was a 14 playoff. I wonder if Ohio State would have fired him. I think there's a lot of ADs looking around going, all right, that's a lot of money to pay these guys if you're going to move on from them. You need that money to revenue share. But I just think ultimately Greg Byrne would have had a hard time acknowledging, I made a mistake with Kalen DeBoer. And I do think DeBoer is a really good coach. I think Washington fans would back me on that. Yeah. But I think they're in over their heads in this game. They don't have the talent. They don't have the complete team. They don't have the quarterback. I think Indiana wins, but again, I would look at that first half spread. I wouldn't be surprised to see Alabama leading this game like 10-3 at the end of the first quarter.
Got Indiana winning this whole thing would just be a remarkable story from a team that had the most losses in Division I football history. It really have been an afterthought when it comes to college football. It's always been a basketball school. And then they went and just, they said, F it. We're gonna buy a team, not to the degree that Texas Tech did, because a lot of these kids came over from James Madison there with Signetti, and he had a culture and he built it. It's not like it's a bunch of 5-star guys and transfer portal dudes. A lot of guys from his last stop. But think
about this, Buck, too. There's a parallel here with Signetti and Kyle Whittingham. I mean, Signetti comes to Indiana. He's in his 60s. I mean, he's like the third oldest coach in college football. I think he's 61. So you look at Signetti, you look at Whittingham. Signetti, moves over, and he's done it with resources. I mean, culture is culture, right? Mm-hmm. You've got a culture keeping philosophy in your program. I don't think it goes away when you change your zip code. Yeah.
All right. Before I get to Ole Miss and Georgia, which will be nuts in the Sugar Bowl and New Orleans and all that, let me circle back to Oregon. Yeah. The fact, how many assistants are departing Dan Lanning's staff, and how much of, I know about Lapoy and Stein, they're gone, taking head coaching jobs. I think there's other assistants that are going to leave and go with them. How much is that a distraction moving forward? How can you do two jobs at once?
Yeah, I mentioned this on my podcast last night. I posted a podcast just kind of talking about this. Will Stein did his weekly media appearance earlier this week. And the thing I noticed, it wasn't something he said. It was the circles around his eyes. He looked tired. He looked tired to me. And I'd not seen him like that. And, you think about it. He's flying back and forth. He's going to Lexington, Kentucky. He's in Eugene. He's, the portal's opening here the day after the game that they play. It opens January 2nd. You've got, he and Tosh Lapoy have to absolutely be expending some of their bandwidth. They can say all they want that they're focused on this game and this opponent, but some of your bandwidth has to be on what you're doing next. And I do wonder about that. Then there are other assistants. I think there's at least 2 other assistants that have now said, hey, they're going with Tosh Lapoy's taking one to Cal. And I think that does have an impact and it does have an effect. But it is kind of the casualty of the calendar here in college football. This is a lousy calendar. We should move the season up to week 0. The conference championship game should happen after Thanksgiving. The first round of the playoffs should happen a week later. Puck, the national championship game should be happening this next week. Then the portal opens. That would really help everybody, because I think it is a terrible distraction right now. And this is a factor for Oregon. You can, they can say all they want that this isn't, it won't matter. They're focused on their duties. We've seen this before. We've been to the puppet show. We've seen the strings. We know what is going to happen here. There's going to be some fallout from these guys moving on to other jobs.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the other game, or the last game. Ole Miss and Georgia just will be a fantastic theater there in the Sugar Bowl. Two Southeastern Conference squads. Obviously, the Lane Kiffin angle. I feel like anybody's been talking about Georgia for some reason. That kind of feels like they've been kind of an afterthought in this whole thing. Can Ole Miss keep it running despite their head coach now coaching at LSU?
Ole Miss impressed me because I thought without their coach, I wondered if those guys would have an eye on the portal. I wondered if they wouldn't be in it. They looked like a team in that opening round game, and they got that same tune-up game that Oregon got, right? They got an opponent that they should beat. They got a chance to get back in rhythm. And I think that's Ole Miss's only shot in this game is to jump out like 14-0 in the first quarter and then try to make this a close game late. Georgia's just better in every way, but Georgia is sitting in that position like Oregon was a year ago where they've had time off. And this is the game that I'm wondering if it matters, because I think Georgia is better, but I'm not sold on Georgia's quarterback play, and these teams know each other. I think this is going to be a really fun game, and again, I will not be surprised if Ole Miss leads this game at the end of the first quarter or at halftime. They're not the better team, but they're in rhythm, and Georgia's not.
I'm not sure if you've seen this story. It just came out, I don't know, like 10 minutes ago. It was a post, and it's just it highlights, John, just another example of how stupid college football is right now. There is a tackle at Oklahoma State, and his name is Grant Segrin. He is announced weeks ago that he's entered the transfer portal. Okay. But today, when they hire the guys that do the big thing on Twitter, with their image and all the messaging, he announced that he's in the portal, but he announced his scheduled visits for the 4 schools that he's going to go visit. So, and with the dates and everything. And the 4 schools are the following. Now, remember, he's in the portal, Oklahoma State tackle. He's going to go visit Auburn, Northwestern, Arkansas, and the final school he's going to go visit is Oklahoma State. I mean, that just tells you everything about how dumb the sport is right now. He just spent like 2-3 years there. He needs to take another official visit back to the school he just was at. But
isn't that interesting? Okay, so here's what's going on. Here's what's going on there. All right, so a number of players who get in the portal find that there's a rude awakening once they get into the portal, that maybe the market for their services isn't what they thought. So what's happening here with this kid is that I have no other reason than to believe that he's making sure that Oklahoma State gets last right of refusal. And basically he's saying, look, I want to have a place to come back to if maybe the offers I think that are out there don't materialize. If I'm Oklahoma State, you might think about saying no. Once you get in the portal, you're in the portal, but they're not in that position. It's not the world that we work in. The players have all the leverage. This is unrestricted free agency with no, year-to-year contracts every year. But, there are a number of players who are going to get into the portal right now who don't know that their careers are over, Puck, because they're going to get in the portal and there's not enough places for them to go. You got kids coming out of high school. You got kids coming out of community college that are going to eat up some of these spots. Some of the players that get in the portal are not going to have a landing spot. This guy will because of his talent. And, Northwestern's got a new offensive coordinator in Chip Kelly. Looks like Chip Kelly's going there. So he's going to go meet Chip Kelly and see all these new things. But he wants to know that he has a place to come back to if that doesn't work out. And I've talked to some coaches who say, no, you get in the portal, you lost your scholarship. You can't come back. I find this an interesting move by the players, but they've got all the leverage.
Oh, my favorite thing is and every school is doing this now, including my school, the re-signing. Yeah, I do enjoy and I'll be honest with you, I kind of actually like it just because so what's going on. Yeah, and I mean it's weird, and I never thought we would see this in college sports. Yeah, but I do like. All right, at least we know he's coming back. Like the Cougars just announced Maxwell Woods, the running back who starred in their bowl game, is coming back. This is a great get for Kirby Moore to have an established running back coming back. All right, college basketball is just a mess right now. Every coach is sounding off. We've heard from Calipari. We've heard from Izzo. We've heard from Mark Few on this. And for people that are not following the story, they are essentially letting players who have played professionally, whether in Europe, the G League, got a guy has just been drafted in an NBA team a couple of years ago, allowing these players now to come back and play in college. And the NCAA is allowing this to happen. Now, many are speculating they're allowing this because they're just kind of putting their hands up, waiting for Congress to get involved. Do you buy into that that's kind of the end game here by the NCAA?
Well, the NCAA has been sued into oblivion. They're winless. They are not good in the courtroom, and so I think what they're saying is we don't want to fight any of this, and we can't. We're not equipped to do this, and it just tells you, like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, they should have moved to revenue sharing. They should have been sharing with the athletes. They could have set up a system. And by the way, the NCAA really is the member institutions. Everyone likes to think of it as this nameless, faceless building in Indianapolis, and I've run by that building, and it looks like a Supreme Court courthouse, but it really is Washington State and Oregon and Washington and Oregon State and all the member institutions. That's who the NCAA is. They've blown this, and the basketball arena is the place where I think it is going to be the most absurd, because basketball has always pushed it, right? One and dones. We've seen players go into academies. We've seen coaches that will do anything to get talent. Damian Lillard tweeted out, I think a few weeks ago, he says, hey, I got a year of eligibility left. Does this mean I can come back and play at Weber State? Why not? Like, who would stop him from doing it? Nobody
I
will.
wondered that too with Klay Thompson. Klay has another year of eligibility. Can he come back? I mean, this would, seems to me, open the door. I bet you some deep down there might be one little small regret for LeBron James that he never played college baskbasketball.
I'm opening my recruitment.
What stops him from I'm out from the NBA and the decision comes, I'm going to Duke. And he's a 42-year-old freshman at Duke.
He could do it. Under their rules, he would be eligible,
right?
Because he has not exhausted his eligibility. So, I mean, he could go. Like, does he have any more kids in college? Has he still got eligibility? Like, he could go out and play with one of his grandkids. Who knows? Like, I think. And I love that the coaches are talking about it. You see the football coaches are a little more reserved. Mm-hmm. They act like they have more to lose. The basketball coaches, they don't give a hoot. Like, Cal Party's going to talk about this. I wish Jerry Tarkanian were around. He would be spouting off about this. The absurdity out there in basketball is real, and I do think at some point there's going to be laws, there's going to be legislation. Lawmakers will get involved. But do you really want that? Like, college athletics should be grown up enough to police itself. It just isn't right now.
All right, last thing for you. Last conversation before 25. What are you looking? What is John Canzano there at johncanzano.com? And, of course, on YouTube, John Canzano as well. What are you looking forward to? What are you looking ahead to in 2026?
I just had it like you have. Look, you went rogue on this pirate ship that is Puck Sports. I've done it with my writing. I'm doing it now in my radio spoken word, format. I was on an airplane yesterday, and I had 2 or 3 guys that were sitting around me saying, "Hey, I subscribe to you. I can't wait to see what you're going to do with this audio thing." It's just exciting to me to like, as much as we all get turned off by what's going on with college athletics and this all become a business. I think you and I have connected, more clearly and closely with the people who read me and the people who watch you and listen to you. I think that we're in a one-to-one relationship with these people. So that feels really good to me. I'm looking forward to more of that this next year.
All right. Well, Happy New Year to you and your family. And we'll look forward to the continued chats in 2026. Yep. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Puck.
There he is, John Canzano, johncanzano.com. Check out his YouTube page as well. John Canzano, if you didn't know, we talked about this a few weeks ago. Is not on the radio radio station anymore. He's going to go and pivot, do more kind of like what we're doing. So check out his YouTube page, John Canzano, and then also on all the podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify. And, of course, you can find all of his work and all the details and everywhere and everything, how to find him up there at johncanzano.com. All right, we switch gears going from college football over to the NFL. There's a slightly big game coming up on Saturday between the Niners and the Seahawks. Our NFL coverage is all brought to you by Georgetown Brewery.
Drink Georgetown Tavern Beer, your new locally brewed domestic-style lager. 4.2% alcohol. Cheap, good, local.
Danny Kelly joins us here from The Ringer. I kind of paused. I went, Danny Kelly from The Ringer joins us.
Yep.
I don't even have to ask you what number one in your Danny's Dimes is going to be this week. I'm pretty sure I think we're going to kind of just spend most of the time talking about it. But Danny Kelly, we'll get to it in just a second. He's here from The Ringer every single Tuesday with us, talking the NFL, talking Seahawks, senior staff writer, Ringer Fantasy Football Show, Ringer NFL Draft Show, and again brought to you by Georgetown Brewery. Well, here we go.
Are you
just
nervous?
like old times. Not nervous. No, not nervous. Excited. I'm probably the only. I'm a weird sicko.
I
was probably, thank you, the only person in this town that wanted the Niners to win.
Yeah, I think that's true.
I did. And you're an idiot. And I know I'm an idiot. I get, and don't explain it to me. Well, you do understand that if they had lost yes, I get it. I understand all of it.
Right.
You
want all the smoke.
Yes, I want it. I want this game to have everything on the line. Now, is that crazy talk? 100%. I look at sports very differently than most people. I enjoy this type of game. Winner take fucking all.
Yeah.
Love
I think
it.
you probably have a more healthy relationship with sports than a lot of people who, there's a lot riding on this emotionally. And obviously this is a massive rivalry. It's cool to see this rivalry come back because I feel like we didn't really think about the 49ers all that much this season. Bosa was hurt. Fred Warner was hurt. Purdy was hurt for a good chunk of the year. They still just kept winning, but we all kind of just thought, or at least this is from my point of view, we all just kind of thought they would fade away as the season went on. And now they have a chance to freaking beat the Seahawks at home, and get the 1 seed and then have the opportunity to play all home games all the way through the end of the Super Bowl. So, I think this is, it's obviously great for the rivalry. It makes me nervous. I have a long-standing history of not animosity, but some playful animosity with 49ers fans.
Sure.
So, because going back to the days when I was running the Field Goals website, that was like the peak of the Seahawks 49ers rivalry. That was like Pete Carroll, Jim Harbaugh. That was heated stuff. So it is fun to see that come back. I will admit I'm kind of nervous about this 49ers team. I think the way that they're playing offense right now, the Seahawks are going to have to score some points.
Well, I hope they score some points. If they don't score some points, Danny, it's over.
They are going to have to score points.
They're going to have to score a point or two to win a game.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the type of stuff that you get 3 to 4 times a week.
That's why
up at the Ringer, on YouTube, on all podcast platforms, Spotify, eventually Netflix.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the headline. They have to score points.
They're going to have to put some points on the board, Puck.
All right. Well, okay. So the question will just be this: you figure Seattle's offense is going to be able to put some points and move the ball on that defense.
Hopefully,
you would think. Now, I would have thought they would have done that against Carolina, and I know the weather maybe was a factor, but Carolina's defense is not good, and they couldn't really do anything until they got into the second half, and really aided because of field position more than anything. Because of their defense.
Yeah.
And then there's that. Can they do it against the Niners defense? And Robert Saleh, who's a good D coordinator, despite all the injuries. And then the bigger storyline is just can Mike Macdonald's defense slow down Kyle Shanahan's offense?
Right. And I think we've talked about this a couple times. Like, this is why he was brought in. This is part of the reason Pete Carroll was fired, I think, ultimately, was just like trying to take back the NFC West. And this is awesome that he has the opportunity to not only win the division, but get the number 1 seed here. So massive implications from a narrative point of view. Obviously, I think the Seahawks are still going to be a good team, regardless of whether they win or lose this game. But yeah, stopping Shanahan's offense, man, like watching the game against the Bears. I know the Bears defense is not very good, but watching the 49ers play the Bears, it just felt so hopeless in terms of like, there's no way they're going to stop this team. There's no way they're going to stop this offense. Like every time Brock Purdy dropped back, he's just like sitting back there, chilling in the pocket, picking apart, hitting the dig across the middle of the field, right after the catch. Like it felt like every single play was going to be a big play. for the 49ers. So obviously, the Seahawks defense is a lot better than that team, and I expect them to put up a much stronger fight. But the 49ers offense has been kind of a buzzsaw since Purdy got back. Purdy has been incredible. And so, and he's kind of like under the radar. I'm trying to avoid using all the cliches where he's sneaky fast and, all that stuff, but he's like truly one of the more, to me, effective scramblers in the NFL. And so, they're going to have to not only kind of stop Christian McCaffrey, stop the run game, but stop Purdy when he's passing, but they're also going to have to corral him as a scrambler because he's so good in those out of structure situations. So it's a huge challenge. Kyle Shanahan always has really good offenses. Like he just gets guys open. So, I think that's going to be, that's going to be a thing to watch in this game.
Well, it's the chess match, right? Because he's going to
100%.
have a move that Macdonald will counter, and then Shanahan's going to counter that, and blah blah.
Yeah.
Just go back and forth, and then you just got to wonder. Yeah, I don't think it's a question of which defense is going to show up. I don't think that the Seahawks defense was going to hold the Rams to 2 games in which they did virtually nothing. But they proved it in that first matchup against the Rams that they could stifle them.
Yep.
And hell, they proved it in the first matchup against the 49ers that they could stifle them for the most part, where they held them to 17 points.
Yep.
I would hope if they can hold them. If I told you right now they're gonna hold the Niners again to 17 points, I would hope that the Seahawks would win.
Yeah,
I would really hope. Now the Niners left some points out there, and there were some moments in that first meeting that they were moving the ball on them. I mean, total yards, I think, was pretty significant, a gap between those two teams. But again, they held them to 17, and that's all you can ask for. 17 points, you should win a game. Now it's on that offense, minus Warner, minus Bosa, to put up more than 17. Score more points than the other team, and you should probably
ultimately, that's what it comes down to.
Wow.
Can you score more points than your opponent? Man, it feels so. Does it? How long ago does it feel? Week 1. I don't even.
Oh my God!
We're like in week 1.
And I think I said this when the schedule came out. I liked it. I liked how they booked
the bookends. That's weird.
I love it. I just think they start. It seems like ages ago. Like
it's a whole different team back then. We didn't know what to expect from that team.
Yeah.
I'm just like looking at this game. 17-13. We didn't really know what to make of the whole Darnold experiment. He turned the ball over at the end, but also he kind of put them in position to win at the very end, and it just didn't work out. It's just it's weird to look at this game. Charbonnet was kind of like the lead guy in the ground game. I don't know. This is gonna be really fun. Does it feel like the biggest Seahawks game since well, I guess obviously the whole Super Bowl, in 2015, but like in terms of rivalry, like the tip game with Richard Sherman, which was the NFC Championship game, it feels like this is the biggest rivalry game we've got since that.
Well, I think we talked about it. I think the lead up probably to the second Rams game. This felt like the biggest regular season game in Seahawks history. Yeah. And I think at that time it was. Now it's been replaced.
Got something even bigger, the bigger box.
This is now bigger.
Yeah.
This is the biggest regular season game that they've ever had. And they got to go on a road in which they've been just unbelievable. What Mike Macdonald has done in his 2 years as the head coach. And they got to go
12-4 on the road, I think. I saw that. Maybe.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there was a trend that continued under Carroll. Carroll was, had turned it around. I remember they weren't good under Holmgren. And then or maybe it was the 10 a.m. games that they
couldn't win on the road in the 10 a.m. slots for a long time. And
Carroll kind of changed it. Mike Macdonald's
really good there. Yeah.
Macdonald's taken to another level. And you asked me if I'm nervous. I'm just more excited about what's going to take place on Saturday. See, you were like my next guest that's going to come on at the top of the hour, Mitch Levy. He wants it over. He wants the game over.
Tell me what happens.
You just tell him what happens. And you're like him. You don't even want to watch the game.
I don't.
You just want to be told whether or not they win or lose, and you'll move on with the rest of your day.
100%. Like this is I have like a I guess a tweet that I always retweet after every Seahawks game. It's like familiar feeling following a Seahawks win. Misery. These games are hard to watch. It's just like you have too much invested almost. It's like
I get it. I totally the ups and downs, the emotions of any game, but especially this team. And I think I'm watching that game last week in the first half, and I'm just like, it's awful.
Yeah.
Like it was an awful football game.
I was like, where is this headed? I don't
so
like this.
bad. And then but then they have this ability to come out in the second half and kind of put their foot down. I think we all can agree they have got to reverse this trend of the last 3 to 4 games where they're doing nothing in the first half.
Right. Slow starts. I think, especially against the Panthers, I think the strategy was always like our defense. We trust our defense against Bryce Young, and we don't. It's like going back to the Pete Carroll thing. I mean, it's a lot of defensive coaches kind of have this attitude. It's we don't have to like come out of the gate hot. We're just gonna like play our stuff, take care of the football, which of course Darnold never can fucking do. And then trust our defense to kind of get the job done. I mean, if you look at Bryce Young's numbers from last week, this was like an all-time bad quarterback game. One of the worst games you've ever seen. 14 out of 24. He had 24 pass attempts and got 54 yards. They had
terrible.
one play over 10 yards. I mean,
and I feel guilty, Danny,
dominant.
because I think I spent too much time, at least. Well, I mean, it's only Monday, so one day. Like, oh God, Darnold, the offense didn't look great. Can they score more points? And didn't really spend more time on just this defense.
Shutdown defense.
Just absolutely bitch slapped another NFL team.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I think, they knew that they were going to do that. They knew that they could do that, certainly. And I think that's why, like, offensively, you kind of just saw them slow play it. We're not going to, basically, you just don't want to start out on the wrong foot and give the advantage to the home team there in that situation. So
but they came out passing and damn near threw a pick.
Well, the first play, yeah, I know. God,
can he stop rolling out to the left? Danny, I'm not a quarterback coach. All right, look at me. I'm not a whisperer. But to me, it would seem like if you're a right-hand quarterback, it's hard to roll out left and throw.
It is. It's harder. Physically speaking, I think it is harder. Here's my thing. I've seen this a couple times this year, and this is just a small suggestion. I just wish that Darnold would check it down because on those plays, typically, and not always, but typically, it's like a levels concept. So you have usually it's like a running back kind of in the flats. You've got another guy running like a mid-range, and then another guy deeper. Darnold, bless his heart, he just wants he wants the big one. Yeah, he wants to go deep. Just check it down, man. Get 2 or 3 yards. Live to see the next play. We don't need to see you throw it into freaking coverage every single time.
I'd love him to do that, especially to Walker.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like maybe Walker turns it into an 8-yard gain because he's good after the catch. And I feel like a lot. If I made a cut up of some of his turnovers this year, I bet you 80% of them there was like a wide open guy underneath. He just wanted to get it deeper. And I'm like, you know what? We need to cut down on these turnovers, especially against a team like the 49ers. I understand the need for explosive plays. I understand. And I think usually I'm like pro aggressive, but with the amount of turnovers that Darnold has this year, he literally leads the NFL. He's like running away with it. He has 20 turnovers, which is 2 more than Geno, who is like, they're running him out of town in Las Vegas. He's not coming back to Las Vegas. He has 2 more turnovers than Geno.
And and everyone's talked about the same stat this week, right? He's like number 1. He's behind Lawrence in the amount of passes that have been batted down at the line of scrimmage, right?
That also just drives me nuts. Yeah.
Which I don't understand because what is he, 6'4"?
Yeah.
Oh, he's big. And then number 1's being Lawrence, and Lawrence is like 6'6". So I don't get that why do they lead the league in passes being batted down at the line of scrimmage? But here's the other one. I want somebody to come up with this stat. What's the percentage of how many passes when he throws it bounce off a player, or hit someone's helmet,
like contested? Like in front of him?
Yeah, like hits off the chest plate, like the one that Cup it hit off his chest and like bounces in the air, nearly gets picked.
Here's the deal. This is like, if I follow what you're saying, like, are you saying like once the ball arrives, it like comes in too hard and it like ricochets? I think so, like literally they might have too good of arms, like Lawrence and Darnold.
Okay.
Because it's like Darnold, I think again, we've kind of complained about him all year. I think he's done a really good job. Like this is the highest scoring Seahawks team ever.
I know.
So obviously, like it's all relative. We understand that this is still a really good team. They've won 13 games. Like, I want to praise Darnold for a lot of things he's done this year. And I think one of the things is he can make freaking any throw. He has elite arm talent. And in the big scheme of things, like if you look around the NFL, the teams with the best quarterbacks, typically, man, they have flamethrower arms. Like, they're big guys who can throw really hard. And, that's what you want. So like, I appreciate that about Darnold. I just wish his decision making was just a little cleaner, because obviously, like, the turnovers are a big problem. It could be sort of a fatal flaw.
You can kind of live with the turnovers because the defense is so good, though.
Yeah,
thinking that, hey, he may turn it over, but the percentages or the chances of the defense not allowing that to turn into points are fairly high.
Right.
But yet then he can come back around and make a pass that you're like, oh my God. I look back at the Rams game from 2 weeks ago. He made that throw to Cooper Kupp.
Oh God.
Was insane.
One of the best throws of the year. Like,
I'm watching
any quarterback
highlights right now of the Panthers game just on my TV, and they just showed where he rolled right. It was late in the game. I think the game's still in doubt, and he throws that sideline pass to JSN, where he tiptoes the sideline. If you remember that, he had to make on the move a really pinpoint, accurate fastball throw right on the money to JSN as he was going out of bounds, and he made it.
I'm really grateful for that. Like, honestly, like, that is huge. Like, the flat out talent to be able to make those plays is really important. You want that in those key situations. I mean, look at, this is like an example. Last night, it didn't work out for the Rams, but like, when the Rams were down, those last 3 throws that Stafford made, they didn't work out for, a number of reasons, but like, you need a guy like a flame. Like, this is why having a flamethrower quarterback is so important. Stafford probably should have won them that game. Like, the Rams should have won that game. They should have got a PI call on that one to Atwell. Puka, I think you could argue he maybe. I think spiritually it should have been a catch.
I didn't think they should have showed the other replay.
No, the other
replay, that's a catch.
The first angle is like, this is a no-brainer. That's a catch 100%. Like,
greatest catch I've ever seen.
Yeah, like, literally one of the best catches ever. And then the other angle was like, oh, I guess it did move a little, but I think spiritually it was a catch. Regardless, incredible throws from Stafford. So like, you want a guy that's able to do that in these key situations. You want a guy with the talent who is able to do that, and that's what I appreciate about Darnold. But again, it just comes down to there's a gray area here, and it's like, you don't always have to hit the hard throw. You can just check it down. I don't want him to be like a little check down Charlie and super conservative, but there's a gray area that I want him to live in, that he has moments where I'm like, you can tell he was like coached up on it. Like, just take the sack. You know what I mean? Like, there's been plays where pressure's coming and he tries to revert to his base, which is like, I'm going to make something happen and I'm going to like jump and throw it. And then instead he just holds onto the ball, he eats it, and he takes a sack. I'm like, actually, that's a good play. Like, I'm happy that you did that. I just want to see that a little bit more, because the turnovers are driving me insane.
I think what's going to happen on Saturday though is that he's going to have a couple throws where you're going to be like, oh my God. One, it either results in a turnover, or you're like, oh my God, that should have been a turnover.
Yeah.
Then he's going to have another handful of throws where you're like, damn.
You know what it kind of reminds me of? This is like a weird comp, I guess, but it reminds me of the experience of watching Sean Kemp. Who back in the day, just talented mofo, like just one of the funner players to watch. Like, he made some incredible dunks, but also just like, you just want to pull your hair out watching him the other times, because he's just constantly in foul trouble,
always in foul,
almost fouling out in every single freaking game I ever watched in his career. And that's, I think, kind of like the similar feeling I have watching Darnold, because I'm like, man, this guy is.
Guy's got 4 fouls in the fourth quarter. Guy's going for a dunk, and he challenges them to knocks him into the front row.
Yeah,
I don't know. You got 4 fouls. Maybe just let him dunk the ball.
So
I agree with you. We mentioned this at the start. It's great to have the rivalry back between these two organizations. And the guy that I appreciate the most in this new one is the DB Lenore from the 49ers. This guy, I'm all for this guy.
Shit talker.
This guy is hilarious. If you missed it, he was inside the Niners locker room yesterday, I believe, and he wants to smoke. He wants all of JSN.
I get to, shadow JSN. I'm ready for this. I hope he's ready.
Anything you'd rather have? Anybody you'd rather have?
Man-to-man coverage, me and him. That's what I want. Me and him.
He wants man-to-man coverage, Danny Kelly, with Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. That's what he wants.
You got to have that attitude.
From
a lot of these guys in the pros, man, they either believe in God or think they are God. That's kind of like that's a Mina Kimes-ism. It's like
that's good.
You got to have one or the other. You either got to have like that blind faith or just think you're the best thing that's ever happened to the sport of football. That's just kind of like how it is. That's how you get to the top, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's great. I want to say I'm trying to remember. He was talking a lot of trash the first time around too. I think
he has done it constantly. It was not only this year, but I think it's last year. I think it's ever since he's been with the team. He's always has something, some type of soundbite.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. This is kind of shit talking is a part of sports. So who cares?
I'm wondering have you heard anything about Kittle yet? Is Kittle going to play in the game?
Haven't heard.
I bet he'll get up for it and play.
Oh, I think George Kittle's going to strap it up and be ready to
shoot
go.
Up the old ankle with some Toradol or whatever they use and just go out.
Now, I know why they chose this one for Saturday, not Sunday, but come on.
I was going to ask you that. Like, what?
Come on.
I'm insulted.
Well, East Coast, I get it, but
East Coast bias, man.
I don't like that. I just don't like that it's a day. Jim was getting mad at me yesterday about
who wants to watch the frickin' Steelers Ravens.
I don't.
But I need the NFL this year.
I would have liked an extra day so it can make sure that old Rashid Shaheed's ready to go.
Yeah, but on the other hand, maybe this will help with Kittle. Who knows?
Yeah, but even if Kittle came back, you know what? I'd sacrifice that. If the extra day meant Kittle's coming back.
Yeah, we're not like forcing third down throws to Derek Young.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if the question is this, right? Yes, you get one extra day, but Shaheed gets to come back, but you have to also accept Kittle. I'm willing to do that. But if you say you play the day less, it prevents from Kittle from playing. You have to accept that, but you don't get Shaheed. I think I'd take the extra day. I want Shaheed on. He's been playing great.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. He's a spark plug. They need him.
All right. Yeah. Prediction. What do you think? I know you're not going to watch it because, like my next guest, you're too nervous to watch or even root. You guys are fucking miserable watching the game. So, what do you think's going to happen?
I think the Seahawks will win. Right. Who's favored? What's the line?
Seahawks by 1.5.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like the Seahawks by 1. I think it's going to come down to the last play. I'm going to have an adrenaline headache at the end of it. I'm going to be like, another familiar feelings following a Seahawks win. Misery.
Not going to enjoy a single second of the game, Danny Kelly. Well, to hear him talk about it, and you can also watch him as well, go check out the Ringer Fantasy Football Show, Ringer NFL Draft Show, all things Ringer. Tell everyone where you're at, where they can find you throughout the week.
You can find us. We're now down to 3 shows a week because the fantasy season is over, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. But 3 days a week. You can check us out on Spotify. You can watch on video on Spotify, and you can also watch video on YouTube and anywhere you get your podcasts. You can listen. So yeah, check us out. And pretty soon, coming up here, not long, probably like a couple of weeks, we'll be on Netflix. You can actually go on Netflix right now and hit remind. You can find us, and it'll set a reminder.
Unbelievable!
Look at that. Go find us.
Well, it was great having you on. I guess we won't have you on any sooner because obviously you're on Netflix now. So thank you, Danny. Appreciate it. Happy New Year's to you and the family.
All right, you too, man.
There he is, Danny Kelly from The Ringer, a senior staff writer. Check out all their shows, as he just mentioned, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and, of course, he just mentioned his show, along with all of the Ringer content, will soon be up there on Netflix. We talk all things NFL with Danny every single week, brought to you by Georgetown Brewery, makers of Manny's Pale Ale, Bodie's Offa, Rogers Pilsner, and their new Tavern Beer. Tasting Room Beer Garden open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Well, from one Debbie Downer to another. Coming up right now, another edition of KJ-Arent with Mitch Levy, host, of course, of the Mitch Unfiltered podcast. The entire show, as always, airs during the live daily puck drop. But once the live show is over, only place to catch KJ-Arent is if you are a patron of MitchUnfiltered.com or a Pucks Posse member. All you got to do is sign up at pucksports.com. Well, just like Danny Kelly, Mitch Levy, I know. I just know how miserable you are right now and how you just want Saturday night to come and go.
No, I'm not miserable at all. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you're so
What are you talking about?
Are you excited for the game?
No.
Or would you like for the game just to be over and someone to come tell you, hey, this is the result. If you want to watch it, you can go back and watch it later.
I've decided that 7-10 isn't so bad. Let me ask you a question. When you go to Las Vegas, or you go to Reno, Nevada, or you go to the Snoqualmie Casino, do you play blackjack at all? Are you a blackjack guy?
When I was younger, but not anymore.
Okay, so when you were younger and the dealer had the ace showing, and she said, insurance? Yes or no?
No. Never once. You'd like insurance.
Well, let me put it to you this way. If the Seahawks win the game, they'll be a number 1 seed, and they'll be essentially, statistics say, a 50-50 shot to go to the Super Bowl. An argument can be made that this is the single most important regular season game because of what happens if they lose. They're not out of the playoffs, but I would say they're probably 3% to get to the Super Bowl, 5% to win 3 probable road games as opposed to winning 2 home games. They go from 50-50 to get to the Super Bowl if they win to 6% if they lose. So even go back to the Russell Wilson years, the Super Bowl years. When was the last time they had this much on the line in a game? Yeah, they've had games where make it and they make the playoffs, miss it and they miss the playoffs. But this is the number 1 seed. This gives you the inside track to going to the Super Bowl. This is an enormous regular season game. So the question I asked on episode 360, whatever it was on Monday, was how much as a Seahawks fan would you pay? Right now, if I was willing to cancel the game, make the Seahawks the winner, put them as the number 1 seed, how much comfortably would you be willing to pay for that?
Did you ever get a response to that from people? What did Hotshot say? How much money would Hotshot give up?
No, I'm asking you now. This isn't about Hotshot. This is Puck Sports. Let me ask you, I'm being serious. If you could pay right now, if Jason Puckett could pay right now $250 for a guaranteed win, would you?
I'd pay $1,000.
You'd pay $1,000.
Yeah, I'd pay $1,000 to guarantee the win.
To guarantee the win. So why not insurance? Why not find a place that'll take a wager? If you're willing to spend $1,000 on a Seahawks win, why not bet 500 of those $1,000, just 500, on the Niners on the money line?
Yeah, but you're see what you're saying is I don't like what you're doing. I agree with the go-to guy Jim Morsey. He takes a big issue with what you're doing. Doesn't like what you're doing. Yeah, hedging. Why? He doesn't like it's a hedge. Why? He doesn't like it.
Why not?
Because what you want is that you're guaranteed to feel satisfied. Because if the Seahawks win, then they win.
No,
but
that's bullshit.
But if they lose, you've actually won because you bet on the Niners.
But you're not satisfied. He's looking at it the wrong way. Is he listening right now? He's looking at this the wrong way. If the Niners win, you're not satisfied. You're upset. As a Seahawks fan, you're upset because you realize they've blown an opportunity, a real opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. But you're being paid off. To be upset.
So how much have you put on the Niners?
I haven't done it yet. I will do it. Haven't decided how much, but it's going to be a substantial amount of money.
But is it going to make you feel better?
It's going to soften the blow of the. And if they win, if the Seahawks win, I'm not even going to think twice about the $500. I'm going to be thinking, They're off this week. We're going to watch playoff football where they don't have to play. They're going to play at home. And it's going to be such euphoria if they win this game that the $500 doesn't mean anything.
I want you to tell the audience right now, how are you going to experience it Saturday night watching it? Are you by yourself? Do you allow anyone to be in the room with you? Do you enjoy it? Do you talk to anyone? Do you get on social media? Or what is it going to be like? Do you go someplace by yourself?
No, you've got me so. Who do you think you're talking to right now?
Someone that's going to be miserable on Saturday watching the game.
Well, miserable comes in a lot of shapes and sizes. I will watch the game with whomever, my son, whatever sons I've got near me. I will watch the game with my wife if she's interested. We've got family from out of town. If they're interested, we'll watch the game. And I'm not going to hide. I'm not going to need to be in solitary confinement. But will I watch the game just knowing they're going to lose? Because never does a team that I root for win a game of this magnitude. Never. Never win a game of this magnitude. Will I be a hearty har? See, they can't. Yes, I'll be a hearty har the entire game.
Did they not win the Super Bowl when you were a fan? Did they not beat the Broncos 43-8?
I was there. Yes, they did. It was cold that day, though. It was very cold that day.
They won that game.
But for every one game, let me just ask you as a Washington State Cougar.
Sure.
For every one game where your team, whatever team it is, whatever sport it is, for every one game that your team that you root for wins one of these, how many do your teams lose?
Jesus, man, you're asking me as a Cougar fan. I have too many to count of how many games have been miserable that I've watched. We're like players. You're the same coaches. You remember the losses more. You remember the wins. Is another edition of KJ-Arent with Mitch Levy, host of the Mitch Unfiltered podcast. Weekly show again airs in its entirety during the live daily puck drop. But once the live show is over, you must sign up to become a Pucks Posse member at pucksports.com or become a patron at mitchunfiltered.com. All right, let's wrap up the show here on this day, December 30th. And we're just going to start, not any events that happened on this day, just two amazing birthdays for two amazing sports figures. We first start with LeBron James, who's 41 today. It's amazing. This guy is still playing basketball. Made his debut, 18-year-old. I remember watching that game, Cavaliers in Sacramento. First overall pick of the 2003 NBA draft, four-time NBA champion, four-time finals MVP, four-time MVP, 21-time All-Star, and does not appear to be slowing down anytime soon. He turns 41 today. You know who else had a birthday today? Tiger Woods is 50 today. How about these two guys sharing a birthday? 15 major titles, 81 PGA Tour titles, the greatest golfer that we've ever seen. Now that he's turned 50, eligible for the Champions Tour. I don't know what his comments on that have been, whether or not he actually will play. I bet you he does at some point, go out there and play. Boeing Classic, come on, Tiger. Come out to the Boeing Classic. You want me to come out to the Boeing Classic? I'll come out if Tiger Woods is going to play there on the Champions Tour. That is on this day, December 30th. Happy birthdays going out to Tiger Woods and LeBron James. All right. Hey, What the Puck brought to you by Restoration One. Again, reach out to them if you have any damages to your house, your business, mold damage, flood damage, anything that's happened here in the last month in the Pacific Northwest. Restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. We turn our attention to the NFL and to what's happened in Kansas City, what's happened in Missouri, and what's happened in the state of Kansas. It's criminal what the Hunt family has done to the people of Missouri and the people of Kansas and Chief fans of themselves. The organization is moving operations from Missouri, which they've been, over across state lines. And again, it's really close, and they're both fan bases of, or both states are fan bases of the Chiefs. They're going to move the team to Kansas because they're going to build a brand new domed stadium inside for the Chiefs. Now, the organization is going to pay $1.2 billion of the reported price tag, which is $3 billion. Most analysts say it's closer to $4 billion. Ultimately, what the deal is going to be. So the public actually is going to be on the hook for about $2.8 billion, not 1.8, which is being reported. And now that's going to be paid for with a sales tax that is going to then affect the people of Kansas. They're going to have to pay more for goods and services because the Hunt family can't do it themselves. And it begs the question of what are the fans actually getting? It's just not the Chiefs, but all fans that are involved in professional sports with billionaires and millionaires. The Hunt family is worth $25 billion. That is their net worth. And yet they cannot afford to foot the entire bill of their brand new stadium. By the way, a stadium that will solely benefit them financially. Not you, not Chiefs fans, not necessarily the people of Kansas, but them, their bottom line, their pocketbook. Of course, they can afford the whole thing, but they don't want to pay for it because they know that the state of Kansas and Missouri, to a degree back in the day, they can hold those two states hostage and they can get the deal done for themselves. They can have the public pay for it. It's a dirty little game that most professional franchises do. Listen, it's wrong. It's wrong what happens to these teams across different cities and states. It's wrong that the Mariners did it. It's wrong that Paul Allen did it back in the day when he didn't pay for the whole Seahawks stadium, which was roughly about $430 million. At the time that he purchased the Seahawks, his value, net worth was around $20 billion. But yet, public had to pay into it, had to be a part of the process. Now, this is not to say anyone regrets the decision by both the Mariners and the Seahawks from getting new stadiums. We all go there. We enjoy it. We're glad that they're there. We're glad that we go to spend summers there watching the Mariners. Glad we go spend the falls watching the Seahawks and what Paul Allen did of saving the Seahawks from moving. But these millionaires and billionaires, they get away with everything. They get away with anything that they want because we just take it and accept it. You don't got to go use their public park. The Mariners are always going to say, oh, it's a public park. Anyone can use it. You can't. I can't walk in there today and go just, hey, let's go hit grounders on the public park. I can't do that. Neither can you. They get you to pay for it, and that's what they're getting Chiefs fans to do. They're getting the Chiefs fans to pay for something that they don't get to recoup any of their money because the Hunt family gets to keep it all for themselves. It's why I think what the Kraken did was admirable and the right way to do business. Not the biggest hockey fan in the world, but they paid for that damn thing, the entire thing themselves. They didn't make you pay for it. And that's what these organizations should do. It's your company. You get to keep the profit. You pay for it. Simple. All right, that's What the Puck. Again, brought to you by Restoration One. Go visit them at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. Big thanks to everybody watching and listening today. Thank you to all the sponsors, Limbeck Lumber, Flat Stick Pub, Georgetown Brewery, Restoration One. Today's Daily Puck Drop, also Georgetown Brewery, I should say. Today's Daily Puck Drop, find it up on YouTube. When you're there, please subscribe to the channel, like the channel, leave a comment, try to get to as many as that we can. Also find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, and visit pucksports.com. There you can sign up to become a Pucks Posse member. Your membership supports all the free daily content that we do here on the Daily Puck Drop and Puck Sports. Plus, we give you bonus shows every week, like another edition of KJ-Arent with Mitch Levy. Also, next week, you'll have another edition of Inside Pitch there with Ryan Divish. Appreciate all the support. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Remind Wednesday's show, we will not do a live show, but we will have a podcast that will be released with Mike Garofolo and Rob Staten. We'll put those out in the morning. No shows Thursday, but we'll talk to you again on Friday with Jim and Chris and our handicapper, Troy Wins, and Bob Condotta of the Seattle Times. All right, we will see you later. As always, promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for? We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!